السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به. واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. Listen to you, inshallah. Thirdly, please.
We're going to be reading from the Reasonings, page number 6 for us, starting with the second last paragraph where it starts from thirdly. Thirdly, an extremity in human behavior or moral standards destroys human potential, which in turn causes purposelessness and vanity. Extremity in human behavior or moral standards destroys human potential, which in turn causes purposelessness and vanity. Purposelessness and vanity are absolutely contrary to the divine universal wisdom, which is clearly observed to pursue purposes and benefits in everything in the universe, from the smallest to the greatest. So purposelessness and vanity are absolutely contrary to the divine universal wisdom, which is clearly observed to pursue purposes and benefits in everything in the universe, from the smallest to the greatest. So I have questions. I guess for starters, the first claim or observation that the author is stating, I'm not sure exactly how that is so. So how is extremity in human behavior or moral standards destroying human potential? And I guess the latter part of that is, how does that cause purposelessness and vanity?
As you were phrasing the question, I guess where you are going, and that's I remember that, for example, if you put a seed in the soil and overwater it, what happens?
I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever done that.
It'll die. It'll rot.
Yeah, it will rot. Yeah, rather than giving shoot, it will rot. Or no water at all, the same, it won't grow. So it must be the potentiality, human potentiality, must be kept in its place, in its right place, in the right proportion. Extremity is going either way, either overly exercising one's own ambitions or not using one's potentialities at all. So what happens at the end? The potentiality becomes useless. No purpose, because the purpose of the seed is to grow into a tree. It means we have to develop it for a certain purpose. The certain purpose is to use the potentialities, whatever the potentialities we have, to fulfill their own purpose of existence, which is to utilize them in order to know where we are coming from, who we are here in this world. So If we lose that, then we become purposeless and purposeless and vanity. Vanity, there is no purposeless in the creation. There is no purposeless in vanity in creation. So we are going against the nature of this creation. It means we are really contradicting the reality.
So I have a follow-up question. I understand, I guess the analogy to some extent makes sense, where if you don't water the seed, you're not going to grow. Pretty obvious, I guess. Because I guess in this analogy, I am the seed, right?
Yeah. It's obvious.
Does it not depend on, I guess, where I'm like what I'm aiming for? For example, if the seed just needs to turn into a flower, then maybe it doesn't require that much water. But if the seed, making this up, needs to turn into a tree, probably requires a lot more water.
So the extremities are concerned to the nature of your potentiality. For example, you said these different seeds need different water. For example, rice seed needs to be in a very wet land. The water must float on the floor, on the ground, on the earth, or the soil. So depends on what you have to do. Extremities, by definition, is not to be on the right track. It means not to use it within the limits of its own nature. Now, how are we going to know? That is the problem. The thirdly means the firstly, secondly, and thirdly, why do we need the prophet? Now, the thirdly, because we have to know what we are growing. Whether we are growing, let's say, rice, which needs a lot of water, or we are growing, you may see that doesn't need much water. If you put more water, it dies, whatever. So the right proportion can only be known by the one who establish the potentialities within human beings. So they have to guide the one. That's why the one who created the human potentiality must be the guide, not my own choice, which is my own choice, which means I learn it from my life experience, which is, we discussed before, that the human experience is extremely limited and doesn't go beyond time, especially the future, and also cannot comprehend everything related to human nature. So that is why we have to look for the guidance from the one who established my potentialities within me. I feel that I have some potentialities. I don't really put the limits, delineates the limits where it should be used in this way or another way, without going into extremism, extremist attitude, or extreme attitudes. And I need guidance from there, from my creator, to tell me, because of the fact that I cannot comprehend the my potentialities, how much they can really encompass within them, and how am I going to use them. Guidance is necessary from the maker.
One more follow-up question. So I guess previously what I was injecting into what human potential is in this particular sentence was I guess something extremely positive as well. Like, I have infinite potential to I guess discover, but I don't think that's the only instance for human potential. Technically, it could be said that I have infinite potential to do wrong as well. So
misuse it.
Misuse it, right? So the
Take it into extremes.
Right.
Extreme.
Yeah. Okay.
For example, in order to, we have the potentiality to defend ourselves. For example, in order to defend myself, I shouldn't destroy others. How much? Where? In which conditions? That's what the guidance, divine guidance says. Yes, you have to be concerned with your own life conditions, or your own interests, but at the same time, your interest should not go into other people's rights, and where and how, which conditions. We really need to be taught. We may guess, but it is just a guess. It would be just a guess when we guess. They're not really what they need.
I have another question. How come there's no mention of, like, what, I guess when the text states moral standards, it's not highlighting, I guess, the immoral practices, it's actually saying extreme practice of the moral standards, which I guess by definition is something which is right. So how can that destroy my human potential?
I think we discussed that. Moral standards or behavior or moral standards, because it is limitless, we have to know where to put the limit. And according to me, my limit is here. According to you, your limit is there. And this decision, my decision, your decision, will depend on our limited experiences in this world. That's why we need to get them universal guidance, which will have different values. We studied this one, which will be comprehensive, which will assure that the one who gives this guidance really knows what he's doing, and he is my maker. And also, the one who's presenting the guidance to me, from my perspective, should need, as far as I'm concerned, should need to be respected. Or from my perspective, I should need to respect this guidance. So if somebody else like me, you and me, tells you that you shouldn't do this because according to me this is wrong, you will say you are like me. You are experiencing the conditions of this. I am experiencing this conditions of this world. How can I respect your guidance? So the source of the guidance must be regarded as a respectful or not respectful, as a source which deserves to be respected. We discussed it, and it was a very important point. So, knowledge-wise, information-wise, somebody may know better than I do. That's correct. That is correct. But knowing the limits of the potentiality is not doesn't depend on knowledge, because it is endless. Who knows it? Who knows the limits of your of your endless potentiality? Where to start, where to stop? Who knows? Only the one who creates knows it, because it is limitless. So, for example, if I learn how to, I don't know, how to paint this room, this is within my experience. I can learn it, and you can also learn it. And we may compete with each other. But painting the room is not knowing the endless potentiality, limitless potentiality. If the potentialities were limited within the capacity of our comprehension, we wouldn't need the Creator's guidance. We can learn it through our experiences. It is interesting where to put the limit. This is this is the third reason why we need divine interference or divine guidance, universal wisdom. As the text says, the divine universal wisdom is needed. For example, if, let's say, we were able to organize how this work should work, through experience. Okay, then we can adjust the direction of the Earth, globe of Earth, and the speed of the, if we could, speed of the rotation of the Earth, etc. Yeah, we can work and make it perfect. But the existence doesn't consist of this world only. It goes beyond my capacity. They are all working in harmony with each other, in relationship with each other, and I cannot reach the end so that I will really organize it. But it's an example. Not realistic, but if it was possible, now this is beyond my capacity to organize how the universe should work. Yeah, like I'm making a machine. Yeah? I know how to make the machine because it has the beginning, it has the end. Its potentiality is limited within the capacity of my own experiential, whatever I have acquired through my own experience, and put it there. That's all right, I can do it. Beyond what I mean? I don't need a divine universal guidance in order to teach me how to make the machine. I can experience it and learn it and do it. It is a beginning, it is an end. It is limited. But when it comes to organizing the order of the universe, I cannot comprehend it. I cannot handle it. So who should do it? The one who could do it. Is there anyone in the earth who could do it? Let me organize and put the formula of how everything should work in the universe. Can anyone do it? Even the whole human beings get together? No, we have to say, okay, only the one who can comprehend this universe can do it. Who can be? We understand that only the one who gave existence to this universe could do it and did it in front of us. Here it is, working perfectly. Simple. Divine guidance. The universe needs divine guidance, but it is not that simple because not only the whole of the universe needs divine guidance, even one atom needs divine guidance. Why? Because of the order it is created and functioning is beyond the capacity of whole human beings. One atom. So it must be organized by the one who gives existence to it. We cannot organize how an atom should work. Do you know the details of an atom? Mind-blowing. One atom. So we will say, okay, the creator will decide how it should work. I can't. Simple. In the micro world. Macro world, yes. Micro world, yes. All they need the divine guidance. Divine guidance means, by definition, the source of it is of something's existence. But I can use the atom after I found it and make this, for example, machine, according to my capacity.
So I think I understand the link between, the destroying of the human potential causing purposelessness, but vanity seems like a very specific claim. I feel like the author could have said, purposelessness and ignorance or heedlessness, but he's pointing out vanity. And I was wondering why this is so.
If something has not fulfilled its purpose, it means purposeless. Don't you think its existence will be vain? Which is not doing anything. What shall I do? For example, if this machine doesn't work, why shall I carry it? I just throw it.
Right, I was understanding vanity here in terms of more of an egotistic sense of self.
I don't know whether really exactly what vanity really is. Is it something to do with self-proud? I thought vanity something is in existence is in vain. Ultimately the same thing, but it's wrong. My understanding is wrong. Okay, vanity. You can think about it. It will be self-centric. Let's put it in a word that I understand. Self-centric. Yeah, according to me, I will decide. Isn't that clear? If it is so. For example, I will say this is good because according to me it is good. But I think it will work this way.
So, if I may add to this, how I understand vanity in this sense is, I take an example of my work in which we basically we define a goal or an intent, and in order to fulfill that intent or goal, we specify what we want to measure. What are we going to track? And within those metrics, or within those what we're measuring, we define what are vanity metrics. So basically, things that by measuring will hold no value to the goal that we're trying to complete. So how I understand vanity in this sense is, again, what is the intended purpose of something, and anything which contributes towards it is, again, purposeful, and anything which doesn't contribute towards that intended purpose becomes a vanity.
Vanity, it means destroys the purpose.
Just doesn't help fulfill it, which, because, again, I guess everything in this sense, again, it's related to existence. How I'm using my existence, if I'm not using it for something, then I'm essentially taking it away from something. So if I'm not using, or existing in a state where I'm practicing my human behavior or moral standards in a non-extreme way, then I'm moving in the right direction, as we said earlier. But I guess what I wrote here was by doing more than what is required, then
or less,
yes. So it's a seed example, right? It's just pouring more water. It's not, the seed is not going to take in any more water than what is required. At that point, that extra water that you're pouring is in vain, pretty much. It falls under the sense of what vanity might mean here.
I would say it still fulfills its purpose, which is like, hey, you put in more, then the thing gets destroyed. So nothing is in vain in creation.
No, not as far as our concern.
Right.
As far as our responsibility is concerned, we have to think of it. For example, I can go and harm somebody and say nothing is purposeless. So God created it. It is the creation. We have to appreciate it. Would you forgive me? No. As far as we are concerned, we are going against our nature, against our potentialities. If it makes sense. Okay, let's move on. If there is no other concern.
I don't have the next page letters.
Yeah, here it is. And it is mine. Can you pass over how to
We're gonna split this one for that row, one for this row, and we can just take one of that row.
Are you gonna read this part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so for those who just joined, we're still reading from page 6 and the last paragraph. A false supposition and a reminder. On the pretext of giving priority to law and its observance, which have been brought to the attention of humanity after so many disasters and by stirring up public opinion continuously, heretical people suppose there is no need for the divine law, and that it's possible to replace it with human-made laws. This is a totally false supposition, for the world has grown old, and there is still nothing to prove such a supposition. On the contrary, although our world sees the development of some beauty, new vices and evil appear in even worse and more deceptive forms. Just as the rules of wisdom are not independent of the rules of government, so too is the order of human life increasingly in need of rules of the divine law and virtues then that dominate human conscience. I'm going to repeat this again. On the pretext of giving priority to law and its observance, which have been brought to attention of humanity after so many disasters, and by stirring up public opinion continuously, heretical people suppose there is no need for the divine law, and that it is possible to replace it with human-made laws. This is a totally false supposition, for the world has grown old, and there is still nothing to prove such a supposition. On the contrary, although our world sees the development of some beauty, new vices and evil appear in even worse and more deceptive forms. Just as the rules of wisdom are not independent of the rules of government, so too is the order of human life increasingly in need of rules of the divine law and virtues that dominate human conscience. Can we take a break here before we go further? Because I feel like I have a lot of questions as well.
Okay, if you want to stop here for a while, yes, let's give a break. And what I would like to remind you that this text was written somewhere around 900. 910, 11, which is interesting, before the First and Second World Wars. He says,
You mean 1910?
1910, what did I?
900.
1910, 1911, 12, around. Before the before the First and Second World Wars. So it says, some vices and evil appear in even worse and more deceptive forms every century. But can you imagine what happened during the World Wars, First and Second World Wars? He hasn't seen it yet. So people killed each other. They developed, yes. Some beauty is okay. I mean, we cannot deny that. For example, people studied and worked and made the glasses so I can read it. It's good. Yeah. But as far as the administration of the human nature and human society, both individual and at the societal level, we cannot do a proper job because it needs the universal wisdom. And I don't have the universal wisdom. In order to make the glasses, I don't have to have a universal wisdom, practical. Go and work on the lab and do lots of experiments, and then you can develop something out of what is already existing in the order of the universe. So what happened? Yes, some beauties came, but people became rich and the technology developed. Then they developed the technology into weaponry, and started trusting their power by using their weapons and imposing themselves on others. Come on. The name was what? In the interest of our country. In the interest of our nation. And millions of people were killed for nothing. If you really look at the reason why the First and Second World War really occurred, what was the main reason? I'm superior than you are. You are not superior than me. I am going to exploit these people. No, I'm going to exploit these people. Competition. Interest competition. Yeah, mainly. Now, although my authority, your authority, how can you kill my prince, for example? The simple reason for the First World War. The other one is saying that I am a superior race. I have the right to control over other races. Yeah. Look at the mentality. Although they developed a lot of scientific research and investigated into many things, ultimately they turned out to be self-centric, stupid, egomaniac. Yeah. Isn't that true? I mean, I don't want to give a name, but it's so simple, so simplistic. It means really, if we don't, first, two elements are very important. If we don't acknowledge that the source of our existence has the right to give the limits to what is unlimited human potentialities. Secondly, the human beings should have, and not should have, that they must have, no. The source of the guidance must have a status in the eyes of the human beings that this guide must be respected. That is a very important point, that the secular law, as you said, human-made laws, cannot provide it. Impossible. Because who is or who are going to legislate the law? People like you and me, and they have also caprices, ambitions, and wrong criterion. It is impossible not to have it. And their capacity is not really potentially more than mine. How can I respect that potential? But I said earlier on while we were studying the first paragraph we read today, knowledge is different from one's potential power. Knowledge is acquired. We shouldn't confuse that. So, for example, you can come and tell me that you have worked on something and you have better knowledge than I do. I listen to you as far as the field of knowledge is concerned in this. But it doesn't mean that I can read, or somebody can really learn how human potentiality should be administered on a universal level. It is impossible. No one can claim that.
Knowledge of the evil results from not following the laws, whether it's divine or human, as opposed to following the laws?
No.
But
Now, first of all, I would take this question only if it is human. Then, no. You said whether divine or not. No, no. Following the human law to a certain extent within a certain limited world may benefit, but not universal. Human law. They cannot really predict what will happen tomorrow. Predict what will happen tomorrow. So we don't know who is going to use this opportunity next time, provided by the human-made law, because you made a law, you make a law today in order, I don't know, for example, to fulfill the benefits of the already existing society, and next time somebody apply it for another purpose. You don't know, because it is designed by a limited, not the potentially limited, by knowledge-wise limited sources. So, but when following the divine law, it is quite important that I keep repeating the importance of the respect that this divine, whatever it is, let me call it for a temporary purpose, entity must deserve, in my eye, respect because of its limitlessness or infinity or absoluteness. So, but I said, he knows what I am. He made me. I can do that. But you don't know what I am. You don't know. You are a different creature like me. But I respect him. When I respect the law, even that's very important. I have the intention to obey the law established by my creator, but in practice, I'm doing something wrong. What happens? It doesn't really much matter. It is interesting, also dangerous to say. Someone may say you are opening up a free area. You can do it. It doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong, because your intention is to obey God's law, for example. How to interpret God's law, that is another subject. But it doesn't really matter, because if you really sincerely want to obey the order of the divine being, let's call it, make the argument simple, the divine being, but you didn't know that it meant this, not that. As soon as you learn what it meant to be, because out of respect, you go there, and it is solution. It is solution. But if I am following a human-made law, right? If I find a way out according to my own benefit, I will say, well, he doesn't know what I am needing. I need, so I will follow my own purpose. Because he's like me. I have no respect. Now, for example, shall I give you a little bit not pleasant example, because I don't want to talk about this kind of things. For example, you want to visit America, coming from outside. What do? What do? You get visa, permission. Okay, that is just to visit. Now, when you get the permission, it doesn't mean that you respect American system. But you say, okay, I have to obey. This is what I mean? And you come here and you obey when you see that no one can see me now. I can just go around it. Yeah, because no respect. Do you see the concept different? For example, to be a citizen of a country does not mean to value its principles in your eye. Is what I mean?
Yes.
Is there anyone among us who wasn't a citizen and acquired citizenship later on? No?
Yes.
You, okay. So you applied for it, you became an American citizen. Now you promised that you will follow American laws by being yeah. So you agree with it. A very interesting point here, very interesting point. Do you respect all the rules prevalent in American administration system? You know why? Why? No, from your personal point of view, some of them are not really very right. Yeah? Why? The point is very important. You don't respect. But you became a citizen, but you don't respect. This is what I mean. Even you follow the human-made laws, it doesn't mean that you will be satisfied with everything what you are doing. But on the contrary, if you follow the divine law, even if you make mistakes, still you respect the source. As soon as you learn the truth, you turn, you switch, you shift your direction. It's a great point. That is why I'll tell you something. If someone is really interested in the difference between studying the Quran and studying the Hadith. But this subject requires very careful attention. Very simple. But if you don't pay attention, you don't get it. And it is very important if you read an hadith or if you read a verse from the Quran, what is the difference? Not only that one of them is divinely revealed and certain, the other one is temporary or divinely revealed, but exemplary only. No, it's very important. The Quran establishes the relationship between people on the basis of belief and unbelief. The believers are brothers, right? One very important point that we are going to study this afternoon. Now, again, this point that's what I was thinking about it, and this is a very interesting point. Even the Quran uses the word Muslim, it doesn't mean that the citizens of Medina. Careful. If you are ever interested in studying the Quran and Hadith, you have to be extremely careful. When the Quran says Muslim means submitting to what he believes in as the truth. In the Quranic text. Right? No. If the Quran says they believe they are Muslims, it means submitting to the fundamentals of the teachings of the revelation. It means believer plus submitting or submitters. Right? Yeah? In the Quranic text. Quran never refers to the word, when it uses the word Muslim, never refers to the citizens of the Medina administration. Did you notice that? But when you go to the narrations from the Prophet, everything turns upside down. Quran says, every Muslim is your brother. What does it mean? No, I'm sorry, I made a great mistake. The Prophet says, everybody is a Muslim. You cannot doubt about it. What does it mean? Every citizen of Medina administration. Do you see the difference? Yeah. No? Citizen of Medina administration, it means submitted himself to the established administration, you don't know his iman. But the Quran says, I know his iman, and whether he submitted to it accordingly, he says, whatever he produces to you, saying that, look, you have to be a Muslim, it means you have to believe and submit. But the Prophet cannot put this condition. If somebody says, I am here in Medina, I am ready to follow you, and then the Prophet says, okay, he's a Muslim. Yeah. A tribe comes and says, okay, I am going to be with you, Medina administration. Okay, they are Muslims. You cannot kill any of them. You cannot harm any of them. You have to respect their rights. Do you see the difference? Essential difference. Very essential difference in the literature, in the Quran and Hadith literature. So when the people who constructed the legal system of Islam, they constructed the legal system of Islam according to fundamentally Hadith narrations, practical. Right? Not the Quran vocabulary. Quran, when Quran says Muslim, it means the one who submitted himself. He means believed and decided to follow what he really believes as taught in the Quran or in the Revelation as God revealed, right? Now, when it comes to practice, if someone comes to Medina and say, although let's assume that we know he is not a believer, all right? He pretends to be, I want to be with you. I'm a Muslim. Can any authority in the Muslim establishment, Islamic establishment, can claim that, no, you are not a Muslim because you don't believe? Can anybody claim that you are a hypocrite? No. Then look at the tongue. What the tongue says? I'm with you. I'm a citizen. I accept. No one can say that, look at man. You are a citizen, but you don't believe in American values. Huh? I don't know. It's my heart. And the Prophet keeps saying that you cannot know the heart of the people. You have to look at their word. That's what fiqh looks at your word. If you say, I'm a Muslim, that's it. No one can say that, no, you are not a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. You are cheating us. The famous examples, there are many famous examples in the life of the Prophet. If someone accused somebody of being not sincere, how do you know? How do you know? But the Quran is the speech of God. Prophets, the hadiths are the speech of the Prophet. God knows, but the Prophet doesn't know. Even God lets him know, he's not allowed to say that. You see what I mean? I know you are enough because God told me. Have you ever heard such a claim from the Prophet? Huh? Even somebody, for example, there are many hadith narrations. The Prophet went to visit a tribe, nearby tribe, in Medina. These are not the problems of Mecca, by the way. Mecca is based fundamentally on Quranic teaching. Right? Medina is based fundamentally on prophetic practice. Make the difference. Make the difference. Mecca is the period of belief education. Medina is the period of practice administration, so societal level. It's very important. Then the Prophet went with a group of people to visit the nearby tribe, and people said, where is somebody X? Where is Amr, for example? I don't know the name. I don't care. I don't know. So Where is Amr? Some of them said, he doesn't like the Prophet. He is an hypocrite. He says, I am a Muslim, but when the Prophet comes here, he doesn't even come to welcome him. Nah, we know that he doesn't pray and, he's a hypocrite. What did the Prophet say? Did you hear him saying La ilaha illallah? Here, not heart. Did you hear him saying La ilaha illallah? Yeah, he says it, but what is what? What is what? Do you know the heart of the man? He said, not the heart of the man, but I look at action. Action doesn't tell you anything. Action tells the tongue. What tongue says? La ilaha illallah. I'm a citizen. It's interesting. That is another matter that very attracted my attention that I just wanted to share with you. So when you are reading the hadith, you can get surprised. The Prophet keeps saying that Muslim. Quran keeps saying that believing and submitting to it. Right? Submitting to what he believes. That's why when you are reading the Quran, when you come to a word, to an expression, any form of expression related to submit, related to submission, Muslim or Islama, Salama, I don't know. Any word derived from Salama, testing, it means submission, right? You have to definitely understand it, not a member of Medina community or the citizen of Medina community or belongs to a tribe which has a covenant or which is a treaty with the Medina, but how do you say, peace treaty with Medina, an agreement with them that we are with you. Nothing to do with it at all. But it is something to do with their belief, submitting their belief. For example, when in the Quran, the story between Solomon and the Belkis. Belkis was the prince of Iran, or no, prince of what? Come on, Belkis. No. The word didn't come to my mind. Anyway, and Solomon asked to bring her here with the crown, etc. That's another story. And she came and visited Solomon's palace. Solomon's palace was transparent. He thought he's going to draw, she thought when she came in, she's going to drawn into a sea, but she found out that, oh, it's solid. No, it is another psychological analysis, actually. When you submit yourself to God, when you believe in God and leave your own free will and submit your own free will to the will of your Creator, yes, after realizing it means believe in Him, you think that you are going to lose your freedom. You are going to sink. You think. But when you really get into the subject, you are solid. These are metaphoric teachings of the Quran. Great. You have to think deeply, or you shouldn't really read any narration in the Quran, metaphoric narrations in the Quran literally at all. It doesn't make sense. So she thought she was going to really get into the water. None of my business. I don't know. Right? And then spoke to the Prophet Solomon, and Solomon expressed what he has to offer her. She said, okay, I أسلمت مع سليمان لرب العالمين. I agreed that I submitted myself to, together with Suleiman, to the Lord of the whole world. It means I leave myself to her, to him. That is Islam, again, Salam, Muslim. But if she didn't believe, she cannot submit. Right? In the description of the Quran, the people of Medina, the Quran makes it so clear that, look, they say they believe, but in fact, they don't believe, they submit. It means they became an American citizen without really 100% confirming the values of American civilization. Is what not necessarily. Someone may, but not necessarily. So this is the description of the people who accepted to join the administrative body of Medina administration, right? Medina administration, and we have to look at the face value of the claim of the people. You are a citizen, you are a citizen. I don't know whether you agree with these norms or those norms or not. I don't know. I look at your behavior, right? If you go against the law of America, America punishes you whether you believe it or not, doesn't it? Yep. You say that the parking is not harmful at all. Who said that I shouldn't park it? I park and then you get a ticket. And you have to pay. Example, simple example. But so these laws, look at the human-made laws, look at your own actions only. But divine guidance looks at your potentiality and teaches you how to utilize these potentialities. These are great, simple, but doesn't attract my attention. I can challenge you. Have you ever thought of the difference between the Mecca and Medina? Yeah, you did? MashaAllah.
No, not on that.
So because I'm surprised, but I've never heard the people saying that.
The part you just ended with.
Sorry?
The part you just ended with before, when you said that the human laws are sort of talking, or they're
Outward behavior.
about outward behavior as opposed to divine guidance, which is about your potential.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that human-made laws are also about the potential to a certain extent. So they're limited. So they have an understanding of what is the highest. They define the highest limit. But I mean, wouldn't you also consider? No.
Not according to nature of the potentiality themselves, but according to their criterion.
Yeah.
According to their criteria.
Sure.
They say the human morality must be based on these principles according to me. So, for example, let's say a country is dominating over another one, using the power. So they say, it is the war conditions. I have to send the bombs on the aircraft, send atomic bomb to this state according to my criterion. How about the one who's killed by it? It is wrong. The one who sent the bomb is right. But I mean, you cannot really decide.
So you would reject then the argument that human-made laws are, although self-understood concept of potential, but the use of potential is also false because they have no basis to claim that they understand potential.
Yeah. Also, as the text says, we shouldn't go to into extreme. For example, let's say even a country or a part of the world is ruled by human-made laws, right? Controlled by or administered by human-made laws. Comparing between two attitudes of the two citizens, one of them is following the human-made law, the other one does not follow. Now, This is also wrong, not to follow the human-made laws within the country where there is no other option. So that is another subject. For example, I don't agree with it, so I will do that. That causes anarchy, and anarchy is always rejected in principle, because if you don't like it, the Quran says, Quran's argument is this, God says, no, if you don't like the administrative system of this country or another country, whatever, a country, which you don't agree with these principles of this country, okay? The Quran says, okay, go out of it. You don't have to come there and cause a problem among the people. It doesn't mean that these human-made laws are necessarily to be correct, but if you agree that I am going to be in your house, let's make it in this way, I have to respect your requirements. I cannot go anywhere I want. It's your house. I came here. The Quran says, why don't you go out if you don't agree? For example, I came to visit your house, and you said, this room is a private room, don't go there. No, I can go. Why not? And I don't see it as a respectful room. Then you say, okay, go out. You see what I mean? If you don't like it, why do you go there? So the Quran says, don't you see that the earth, God's earth is wide enough? Go to Africa, they will accept you. Don't they? So they wouldn't even ask you for a visa. They say, oh, there's a tourist. Good. Come. I'm different. I mean, it means we cannot say that the human laws, human-made laws, are to be respectful in any case. No. But you don't have to believe the values on which the human laws were established. No, you don't have to confirm it, but you have to obey it. This is the difference. That is why in Medina administration, if someone said, I am Muslim, I'm with you, okay, and did something wrong, okay, according to the administrative regulations, and they said, okay, we have to punish you. If the person there said, I'm a citizen of Medina administration, but I don't agree with this law, do you think he will be forgiven? I don't believe in it. Do you think the law will forgive him? If you don't agree, why are you here? That's a very simple solution. You cannot do anywhere. If you go there, if you go to China, you have to obey their laws. If you don't want to obey their laws, don't go. Don't cause problem. So the same thing applies to Medina administration during the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. If someone obey the law, they don't look at your heart and your intention, whether you really believe it in or not. They say, okay, if you don't obey, whether you believe in it, they say, we have to apply the law to you. You see, it's very simple. But I don't think it is very simple, but in practical life, it is very much confused. Very much confused. So by the people that this is I will use a vulgar language, this is a kafir country. Do you have to follow the laws of the kufr? You hear it a lot from such unbalanced people in the name of Islam. They don't know what Islam is. I'm sorry, really they don't know. They are just emotionally attached to it, nothing else. And they love to claim to be the best Muslims. It's a very good principle. These are very good principles that we should be aware of. Well, this is, by the way, this subject came into human-made laws and divine laws, and what are our relationship with it, and also the practical life. You know, what happened, you will be surprised if you read hadith narrations full of Muslim. Yeah? As far as the practical side is concerned. Of course, as far as the teachings of the Quran and the one's attachment to it practical side of the administration, Medina administration, Muslim. That's why in Meccan period, the Prophet was not using Muslim because there was no such concept. It's interesting. The title concept, title is a Muslim, it's a Muslim, it's a citizen, it means. If you are interested in studying something, never forget this. To take it to, there are this kind of fundamental differences between the Hadith and the Quran. They're not only this one, they're very fundamental differences. We have to understand that in most of the sayings of the Prophet are figurative. When he explains something to the people according to their capacity. But the Quran, it is unfortunate. This is an important point. Very important point. According to the people, it's very dangerous. So wake up. Wake up. If you ever read, inshallah, you may, the tafsir, quite a number of tafsir, very serious ones as well, treat the Quran is teaching according to its life conditions, according to life conditions of the time of the Prophet when it was revealed. They call it the occasions of revelation, Asbab al-Nuzul, and also historical background in the existing community of the people during the life of the Prophet, reducing the Quran to the level of Hadith. You notice that? Quran's message is universal. The practice of the Prophet is in practice local. But the essence of it, representation of the universal principles within a certain limited conditions. There's a very important difference. Do you understand? We have to read the Hadith narrations according to life conditions of his time, how he explained the universal principles within a certain community conditions, right? So that you can say, oh, if it was so, in those conditions, within those conditions, then I can apply it, the same principle, into my conditions. So fiqh, jurisprudence, and ijtihad, driving new rules, comes into practice. You cannot do this to the Quran. By its own nature, it is universal. That's why you cannot read the relationship between, it's not in the Quran, Bilqis, the name is not in the Quran. What was the name of the chapter as well in the Quran? Come on. Sorry?
Queen Sheba.
No, Queen Sheba is the name, but it's not in the Quran. It is historical. But the tribe name is important. It's one of the chapters are called on Islam. Come on, my mind is blocked. Okay. Yeah. Sorry? Sorry?
Should we continue reading?
Oh, but this is a very important subject. Very extremely important. If you miss this one, why are you reading this?
The name?
Name, pastor name. Yeah, pastor name. So the relationship is told, and then we should keep talking about what happened. Right? At all. Seba. Yeah? So the name is Seba. Okay. So when you don't think about it. So what you have to get? Universal guidance out of it. Nothing to do with historical context. No one knows where the Solomon was, and the tribe of Seba was, and who was the king or queen. None of my business. Universal. You have to drive a universal, directly universal message you have to get from it. When it comes to the hadith, the Prophet said, for example, went to a tribe and told them that, told somebody, you should do this, not do that, for example. You have to say, the first thing you have to ask what? What were the cultural conditions of this tribe? What were the values of that time? Values of that time. When you read the Quran, you cannot say, what were the values of the tribe of Seba? No. So what you have to do now, you have to always approach to the Quran in order to get always universal message. But when you are studying the hadith, what you have to do, you have to look at take the life conditions, material life conditions into account and see how the Prophet reacted to these material conditions and then apply it to universal principles. Two steps. First, when you are studying the Quran, you should never take into account the occasions of revelation. When you read the hadith, you have to take the occasions of revelation into account. These are technical, but you say, oh no, come on, man, it is so simple. Yeah? But look at the verse. Most of the commentators, they take the Quran according to the life conditions of the people the Quran talks about, giving a name and trying to find out, historical information about them. Ridiculous. Useless. You see the difference at all? It's enormous. It saves a lot of time. Otherwise, you will just get lost into encyclopedic information in the name of commentary on the Quran. Distortion. Not knowing the nature of the Quran, not being aware of the nature of the Quran while they are studying the Quran. It's very important. Not everybody like this, but quite a number of them really, for historical reasons, which is not, there is no time and there is no reference now. We cannot relate to it now because for historical reasons, it turned out to be the Quran a history book in the hands of certain people. But good intention, bad intention, we don't know what the outcome is. Outcome of it is we have to be careful. We have to not to fall into this mistake. However, the name is regarded as great scholar. Be careful. If someone studies the Quran together with historical information, forget about it. It's a principle. You are free then from loads of unnecessary information. You don't need it. So you can concentrate on the real message. I love the author. This author never refers to any occasion of when he's studying the Quran, never gives any reference to any occasion of revelation as published. Why? Irrelevant. Yes. But those people who are following the classical teaching, they will say this man is heretic. I accept. Yes, I am heretic of your religion. Okay.
So just from a practical point of view, you're saying, if I understand correctly, when I'm reading a story like Solomon, and I shouldn't think about the fact that it was a queen versus a king. It's just a human being that was just trying to go up the level and just not think about where the tribe was or what time. It's just It's there was somebody with a message, somebody that kind of
So whoever they are, I don't care. But the Quran mentions the status of the women, status of Solomon, Solomon is the commander, woman is the queen. Yeah. So put yourself in this position. I am the commander of my family. I am the queen of my mother or father. If she is a girl, if it's a girl, queen of her father. If he's a boy, prince of hers, her mother, no, father. This is what I mean. So you have some sort of authority or something. What are you going to do? How are you going to utilize it? Now, not necessarily that which kind of sultan was it, which kind of queen was it, where was it, which geography, which time, irrelevant. But the position is important because everybody can assume himself or herself in that particular position. It is possible. You say that, for example, let's say I'm an old man and there are two people in my house. They somehow respect me because I'm the owner of the house, and also I am an elderly man. They say that, okay, we shouldn't hurt these men's feelings. Now I am the Solomon. You see what I mean? In that position with two people. So what am I going to do? Position is not important, but the information is not important. Position is important. Somebody says, I'm proud of my property. Who was it? Abu Lahab. No, none of my business, Abu Lahab. How about, do you have anything in the world, for example, do you have a what, how do you call this? Sorry? Beanie. Yeah. You have a beanie. Yeah. What is your attitude towards your beanie? You are Abu Lahab or Abu Bakr? Which one? Attitude towards your beanie.
Towards my property?
Yeah. This is the same will have. If you say that because of beanie, I'm superior to you because you don't have it, even on top of it, you don't have hair either. So you have to obey me, or I'm better than you, then you are Abu Lahab. If you take the other Abu Bakr attitude, symbolize. Abu Bakr or somebody else's attitude who doesn't give any real attachment to its property as a means of superiority, then that's what the Quran is teaching. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. Yeah. Vain. Saying that I have this, so I'm superior. I'm rich, I'm superior. But the time passed, 1400 years, more than 1400 years passed. Did it change? Yeah, you are rich, we have the world. Yep. Isn't that true? Okay, that's how human nature works, They get value externally. Well, I have this power, I have this position, I have this property, etc. So I am successful in this area, I have this knowledge, I'm superior. Does it have to be? No. The Quran says no. It means nothing. Your relationship with your Creator means everything. Okay, we have not really humans. Okay?
What I understand is from Quran we have to extract universal message by understanding metaphors. And from Hadith we extract universal message by looking at historical context. Is this correct?
Sorry, by looking at the
historical context.
And then?
And extract the universal message.
Afterwards.
And with Quran, we extract the universal message by understanding metaphor. Is this correct? What I just...
So, the first word you used, I missed it. The first word you used in the second sentence. I extract
universal message from Quran by understanding the metaphor.
Yeah, I understood that.
And ignoring historical context.
Oh, definitely,
This is correct. And Hadith, we extract universal message by studying historical conditions.
Yeah, first. But the first is very important. First is very important.
Okay.
Yeah, universal historical context, see the needs of the people or the needs of the society at that time, and the prophet's attitude accordingly, and from there, get out of a universal principle. Just the contrary. In practice, what is happening, the Quran and the Hadith put in the same basket. And Hadith is treated according to the historical context. Quran is treated according to historical context. As a result, what happened? In the fiqh, there is no universal principle. It is an inevitable result. There is no universal principle. You can always argue, you can always come up with a counter argument as far as the fiqh principles are concerned. There is no unanimous agreement. And it is not expected to have a unanimous agreement because of the nature of the fiqh itself. It is not wrong, but we understand. But as a result of the teachings of the Quran, we have to get the unanimous agreement. Believe in angels, believe in the hereafter, no dispute. You cannot change. You cannot apply, in this condition you believe in the angels, but if the conditions change, you may not believe in the angels. No, it doesn't work because of the nature of belief in the angel is universal. No exception. These are very fundamental principles if we ever want to study what the Quran is or Allah is teaching. Extremely important, very basic, very simple question, but you should take note and never forget these principles. Never. Otherwise, you get lost.
But so fiqh conditions, therefore, should be like this much, not this much, because these are only the things, the universal, at least the unanimously agreed upon fiqh rules. Like you were saying last week, there's so many.
Excuse me. There is no unanimously agreed on fiqh rule. Impossible. Because you are looking at the event and interpreting the event and then driving a conclusion out of it, a universal principle. Because the first time you are the agent in interpreting the event. Your agency eyes are different from my agency eyes. That's why it is, if you like, quote unquote, natural to have a dispute among the fiqh rules. And among the fiqh rules, no one can claim universality. Did you know that? But no one did. No one did. Even those people who are famous in this method, either practical method or itiqadi method, belief method. Do you see what I mean? The method, based on 4 or 5 methods. There are many, but 5 of them famous. But itiqadi method, but the Maturidi, Ash'ari, this kind of madhahib, they also cannot claim absolute truth. That is human interpretation. Right? That's what I understood. You understood it this way, but I don't understand it that way. It's quite normal. It's human. It's a human. These are human derivations. Human derivations. But by definition, the Quran must be regarded as a universal source. And you can only say that what I understood from the universal message, according to my conditions, that binds me. But fiqh doesn't say that binds me. That says this is the principle the society should follow. Do you see the difference? Fiqh doesn't say that, this is for me, I don't know for you. They are introduced rules to organize the society according to the practical side of the Prophet, according to their understanding. But the Iman matters, personal matters, but my understanding is this, and I cannot impose my understanding to anybody else. I can share it, but I cannot really put into an administrative power. Judge decides according to the fiqh rules and applies it, enforces it on the people of the citizen of that society. You get it, the difference? So these are important points that we have to know. We have to know. That's why if you are in a society, you have to follow the judge. Why? Because there is no other way. But in your personal life, your belief, no one can talk about it. You have to develop yourself, your own belief. Work on it. You have to complete yourself. No one can interfere into your heart or your conclusions. You can exchange, you can listen, you can maybe deliver the message to others as you think it is right, but no one has to follow you. You see the difference? These are very, very important points. Very important points. I think, although we are in the middle of the paragraph, we have to stop the time-wise. Yeah, I think we have to stop. Yeah. So, inshallah, I didn't waste your time.
No.
Inshallah.
Sounds good.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين